Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a Supernatural Rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun, as always, is my brother in podcasting, Reed. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just in this fucking moon bounce, getting horny as hell.
Oh, no. Get out of there. I told you enough times.
No, this is Hot Chick Central, my man.
Oh, my God. We need to end this now. I'm pulling the plug. Let's get into this.
Ghostfacers! We face a ghost, when others will not. We're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot. Ghostfacers! We face a nightmare, we face a dread. Ghostfacers! We face a faceless, we face a dead.
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 2. The kids are all right.
Yep. When I was making notes, I accidentally wrote this down as the kids are a light, which is sort of true later.
I mean, yeah. The episode's title is that of an album and a song by the rockumentary of The Who.
Ooh.
Wow.
There you go.
Very nice. It aired October 11th, 2007. Written by, of course, Sarah Gamble. Directed by Phil Screecha. Viewed by an estimated 3.16 million viewers. I've got a little.
Well, it's an
up.
That's an up from the premiere.
I've got a little surprise for you. Something I was able to track down for this episode.
Okay, all right.
I found a way to get access to all of the previews.
Oh, like what would have aired
like
this week on Supernatural,
Yeah.
like that kind of shit. Oh yeah, let's see it.
Yeah.
This is a fun new segment.
Yeah. So I found this. I found a
Call it a post view because
well, yeah,
because it's been 12 years.
yeah.
See, that's good and sufficiently creepy, but it's
Yeah.
funny because the creepy parts of this episode are like all in that preview.
Yes.
Like, there's like 4 minutes of creepy
Yeah.
in this episode, which is largely weird and funny.
Yeah. Yeah. But the creepy stuff is effective.
And the creepy stuff works even in the episode, but it is funny to watch like a exclusively creepy preview.
Yeah. But I mean, like you can see why maybe
That's what they're selling though still too, eh?
Maybe that's the reason why the numbers are a bit better this week. Is that,
maybe.
I mean, it's easy to buy into the creep for this.
The
right?
creepy kid thing too is such like a horror trope. Yeah.
Because like the intro to the season is so much like this is one based on everything that happened last season. So most people are going to be like, this seems like too much to buy into.
Well,
But creepy kids.
This is a little more grounded.
Yeah.
We're not talking demons and
No.
stuff. This, as far as this preview is concerned, it's just the kids in this town. Something's wacky.
Yeah.
You see a bunch of adults scared for their lives, and you go like, "All right, yeah, I'll tune in."
It's easy to buy into, right? I think so. Also, it's airing in October. People want creepy stuff.
That's true too. Actually, that's a good point. Yeah,
You're in the mood for some spooky shit. Like I
Yes.
think it's
that's a very good point.
it lines up pretty great. Let's get to some international titles.
Let's do it.
So, nothing too drastically changed. It feels, I mean, I'm wondering if I might have to lose this segment at some point because it feels like they're like honing in on how to just copy the titles.
Oh, really?
Like they're not
they get
doing
less and
drastic.
less.
Yeah, they're not doing drastic changes.
What a shame.
We'll see. Maybe it's just season 3. Maybe it's just these first few episodes. Even I don't know. But but there is some interesting things that happen.
Okay,
with this.
sure. So the regular title, the normal title.
Yes, the normal title is
The Kids Are All Right.
The Kids Are All Right. Nobody does that.
Okay.
Nobody does that. But I'm only pulling from 4 this
Okay.
this week. So the German title.
German title is it called like changeling or something like that?
No. Nobody,
or whatever that German word is, like Val. I forget what the German word is.
Nobody really goes far from the actual title.
Oh, okay.
Which is an interesting thing.
So
that's
just like unwell children or something like that.
it's actually the children are all right.
The children are all right.
The children are all right.
Oh, the children are all right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's not that different. Yeah.
No, not that different. Then the Hungarian title.
Again, pretty close.
Oh yeah, it's super close.
So yeah, the kids are doing all right.
Close. The kids are fine.
The kids are fine. They're fine.
Yeah.
Stop calling me Deborah. They're fine.
The Brazilian.
It's my weekend. The kids are fine.
Deborah, the kids are fine.
Deborah.
The Brazilian title. You'll start seeing a pattern with the way these are named.
Kids are okay.
The children are okay.
The children are okay.
Yeah. And the final one, the French.
The children are good.
The lost children.
Oh, Jesus, France.
Here's something that's very funny. It's like if it was like a conversation with someone like who like
Deborah keeps calling back. It's like the kids are all right. Kids are fine. The children are okay. The lost children.
We lost the kids.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's like, yeah, the kids are all right.
Yeah, it's
kids are fine.
Progressive series of phone calls with one dad.
Yeah, the kids are okay. I lost the kids.
That's very funny.
Very funny. Some featured music from this episode. We have If It Ain't Easy by Steve Carlson and 40,000 Miles by Goodnight City.
All right.
I mean, I'd walk 5,000. I wouldn't walk 40.
I would only walk 500 miles, and then maybe I'd walk 500 more.
Yeah. TV Guide describes this episode as Dean visits Lisa, also known as Cindy Sampson, the actress, an old girlfriend he dated 9 years ago. It's actually 8 or so years ago, I believe.
Yeah, 8.5.
Yeah. And is shocked to learn not only that she has an 8-year-old son named Ben, but that the boy looks just like him. Later, Sam and Dean help when Ben goes missing, and Ruby contacts Sam with information about his mom.
Yeah. Funny that the TV Guide thing calls her Ruby, because I'm not even sure we learn her name in this episode.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
We didn't get it last episode. We don't get it this episode.
Huh.
Where the fuck is TV Guide getting their info?
Yeah, what the fuck, TV Guide?
They got someone on the inside.
Oh my God.
This TV Guide review is coming from inside the house.
A bit of background information.
Sure.
This episode is similar in name to an episode of Dark Angel from 2000. Do you remember this movie?
Is that the Jessica Alba?
Yes.
Wow. I never really watched it. I just sort of know of it.
It's kind of like, it was kind of superhero-y.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It wasn't like a magic ghosts thing?
No, it's like I believe it was like a superhero thing.
Shit.
In which Jensen Ackles also was a recurring character. Also, Ben is the name of the character Jensen Ackles played in season 2 of Dark Angel.
Oh, I see. There you go. That's cute. They do lots of that. I like that.
I like it too. But before we get into our thoughts on today's episode, let's open up Dad's journal and talk about some of the real world lore on today's monster.
That's right. Let's see what the lore says about changelings.
I was like, there's no way he's not doing changelings.
Let's see what the lore says about kids' birthday parties.
You've been told you're not allowed to do that anymore.
The scariest thing.
Yeah. Stop gathering information about kids' birthdays.
Let's see what the lore says about bounce houses.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I'm sure you've been bounced from a few houses.
So changelings. Fun fact, also known as oafs. We'll get to why later.
Because they're stupid.
Well, it's like a transliteration of old words for elf.
Oh.
So many European folk traditions include changeling lore, and generally speaking, we're talking about fairies swapping their kids for human children. Now, the reasons and the motivations and all that stuff varies depending on your culture, but generally, that's what we're talking about. Although in Scandinavia, I think they thought it was trolls, but that's the general idea. So, in some traditions, changelings are fairy children who adult fairies swap out with mortal children. Sometimes, part of the motivations. In some, it was that it was considered respectable to be raised by humans. Or in others, it's that human milk is required for fairy children to survive.
Oh, God.
Which seems like a evolutionary biological impossibility.
Yeah.
But sometimes it was that it was almost the opposite, where blonde, beautiful human children were preferable to their own, so they would swap them for that reason.
Oh.
In Scottish myth, the swapped human children were like tithed to hell. They were like promised to hell.
Oh my God.
There's a very specific like old Scottish poem or something called the Tam Lin, and I think that's in there.
Jesus.
Yeah. In Scandinavia, the belief was that trolls swapped out children. So how to tell if your child was swapped out for a changeling?
Oh, this is good. Yeah, come back in 60 minutes.
After these messages.
Yeah.
In the Scottish myth, the Tam Lin that I was just talking about, a child born with like a membrane over its face was a changeling and would soon die after. But that membrane is like, its part would be like the amniotic sac. It would be like something like biological. They'd be like, nope.
Jeez.
The general trend of this is you realize it's like, oh, this is a way to like throw out kids with disabilities.
You know, I was born inside my amniotic sac.
You actually still have it on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was still in mine. They had to cut it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like super rare.
It happens, but like that's again, this is like a thread in this where it's like something slightly deviated in your birth.
Fairy.
You're a fairy child, you're a monster.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be like heads or necks were a bit too big.
Yeah.
Or in Polish folklore, they said they'd have unusually large stomachs and hairy bodies.
Uh-oh. I mean, I know you're not a baby, but
what are you talking about?
I think we need to throw you out.
Oh, God. In some versions, they have too many toes, or they would grow or develop too quickly.
Or the kid looked at me wrong, and I fuck that kid.
Or what?
What?
Oh no.
Those are one thing, not two separate
The
things.
phrasing there was very dangerous. Something, or they would even develop too slowly. There's a story from the Isle of Man that describes like a 5 or 6 year old who could barely walk. Again, they're like, these are like
disabilities.
Yeah, when you read it, you're like, that's not a fairy.
Yeah.
Man. So there are stories of changelings not realizing they were human and just being raised as human. Mm-hmm. Those who do remember that they're changelings would simply leave at some point when they're grown and return to the fairy family, which I think would also be a convenient way if you disposed of a child.
Yes.
To say that what happened.
They return to their fairy family.
The human child would not necessarily be returned in kind. Again, convenient.
Yeah. Look, we gave the fairy kid back. They didn't want to give us ours back.
Yeah.
We could also afford to live this year, so I don't know.
How to ward them off / defeat them. So, Catholics believed that baptism was enough, that trolls and fairies were only stealing unbaptized children. So, for some, they would just
hold them in the water long enough, and either they...
Wait.
Oh, no.
You could say, God bless you, and that would cause the fairy to abandon the child that they wanted to steal. Scottish folklore talked about using like herbs and salves to ward off fairies. In Polish folklore, you'd like tie a red ribbon around the baby. In German folklore, you were meant to heat the changeling in the oven, or possibly brew it in a broth with eggshells, which would confuse it and force it to reveal the truth.
Oh no.
Also, apparently, hitting or whipping the changeling. In Scandinavian folklore, it's suggested that possibly mistreating the child would lead to the human child's return.
That's just good parenting.
Also, this one is like a big red flag. Mm-hmm. In Scandinavian folklore, a lot of like magic things have a aversion to iron. It's just the thing that comes up on the show a lot. So placing iron scissors or a knife in with the baby would keep a fairy away.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Or potentially create one because the kid, like, cuts off a finger.
Well, yeah. So, obviously, all this folklore is tied to disabilities. And there's an unfortunate historical trend of abusing and abandoning children based on fears and of these myths. So, on that note, 2 19th century cases of belief in changelings. In 1826, a woman named Anne Roche bathed a 4-year-old boy who was unable to speak or stand.
Oh no!
She bathed him 3 times in a river, and on the third time he drowned.
Yikes.
And she swore she was merely attempting to drive the fairy out of him. So in this case, a sort of like possession-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the jury acquitted her of murder.
What?
Yeah. And that's in 1826. We're not even going we're not talking medieval times.
The lady's like, show me the fairy. Seems like the fairy's gone.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
In 1895, a woman named Bridget Cleary was killed by several people, including her husband and cousins, after a short bout of illness. A local storyteller accused her of being a fairy changeling, and they killed her.
Oh my God.
It's debatable whether or not everyone that killed her believed that to be true, but he did concoct the fairy defense, and the killers were convicted of manslaughter rather than murder. Yeah, because they claimed to be convinced they killed a changeling. There are some versions that's like sometimes like an adult or someone would also be replaced, but generally it's about kids. Changelings swap out kids. There are some versions from elsewhere, like it's not quite the same, but in Africa, like any like stillborn births or things like that that happened were maybe attributed to like a particular type of malicious spirit or like a fairy type kind of thing. So at any rate, the word oaf, the reason that that's a changeling term is because what do we think of when we use the word oaf? We think of someone like slow or different Quasimodo-esque. And that comes from this like transliterated version of elf, or we're talking about like fae folk and that. So yeah, the changeling lore is basically like, it's basically discriminating disabilities. It's pretty gross.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, at least everything else in history was okay.
Yeah. Everything else in history was okay.
Nice.
Richard Eden. That's what I'm putting on a sign if you ever like run for office.
Looks like you're a fairy. Gonna have to deal with it.
I'm an oaf?
Yes. All right. Well, with that, why don't we get into
more like a loaf of bread? I love bread. I love bread.
You do drop loaves constantly.
I pinch them,
and it's in a park across the street. Don't care to explain that? Okay.
No.
Why don't we get into today's episode?
Sure.
We begin with, of course, the then.
Right.
Generally, it's just this one is another rundown of the previous season. We're assuming that maybe people didn't watch the previous episodes, so we're going to go through a lot of that same stuff. We showed Sam's death. We show the Crossroads demon, and then, of course, Dean's eventual sentence.
Yeah, because a little bit of this comes up again in this episode. Not a ton, but enough that it's like, if you're going to do a recap of anything, the rest of the episode is a Monster of the Week kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if there's anything to actually recap, it's just more of that stuff about the demon deal and shit like that.
Yeah. And of course, Ruby.
AKA Nameless.
I feel like they must have said her name by it.
Don't say her name, man. It's only in this episode that they even reveal she's a demon.
Yeah, but I thought that she had said her name, and no.
I don't think so.
Weird, because like everything
because
is
she just shows up and fights, and Sam says, "Who are you?" and she leaves.
Yeah.
And then she says like, "Oh, I'm looking out for you. I want to help you." Blah blah blah. And she leaves.
She must have said her name though. Now I need to know.
I don't think so, man.
Because like
you keep talking about your thing, and I will look up the script.
I know. I just have I get very easy access to the script now. But anyways, let's continue with this episode. So we go to the now.
Yes.
A woman, Dana Keel, steps outside the door of her house on a cold night. Her ex-husband, Richard Keel, pulls into the driveway with their daughter, Katie, who comes out running from the car into her mother's arms, frightened completely. Richard frustratedly explains she begged him to bring her back. I don't like how easy her ex-husband Richard comes out of my mouth.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny that his name is Richard Keel. I think that's the name of the actor that played Jaws in James Bond.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Richard Keel.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Richard basically explains that she begged him to come back.
Yeah, it was his weekend. They're clearly divorced, but he's like, whatever. She doesn't want to spend time with me.
Yeah, whatever. She
pitched a fit. I brought her back, and the mom's like, your dad misses you. Like,
yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to go there anymore. There are monsters there. Don't make me go back there. And you're like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. So later that evening, Richard is doing some woodwork in his garage. He looks up at the clock and it reads 12:55 a.m. He decides he's going to call it a night. As he's walking to the door, we see something creeping around behind the car. When he shuts the light off in the garage, a power saw flips on.
Yeah.
He walks...
Yeah, the table saw.
Yeah. He walks back...
Because he was making her a rocking horse, because he's like, he's trying.
Yeah, he's a decent...
He's a fine divorced dad.
Yeah, the husband is okay.
For now.
Yeah. He walks back over to the table and turns the blade off. When he once more extinguishes the light, the blade starts running again. He walks back over and as he turns around, something attacks him from behind the car.
I mean, this is also a little bit his fault. Both times he goes to look at the table saw, he doesn't just go and turn it off. He puts his face really close to it, like, why are you on? Like, well then, there you go.
Yeah, you deserve
fucking there you go, man.
It's like
this is a bad death though, because he actually does manage to turn around, and he clearly gets pushed, and he falls on the table saw,
it's
on his back, and it comes out through. It's a really gruesome death.
Yeah,
very well done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They definitely are not shying away from the death.
No, it's fucked up. Even the effect of the saw coming through, but it doesn't come through his shirt. You just see it's crazy good. Very well done.
We then flash to Sam on the phone with Bobby. So that was the intro. That was our cold open.
Yeah.
Sam's on the phone with Bobby discussing a possible way to get Dean out of the demon deal, but immediately hangs up when Dean walks in.
Very smooth little moment here for Sam where Dean's like, who were you talking to? And Sam's like, I was ordering pizza.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he goes, we're in a diner.
We're sitting at a restaurant.
He's like,
I just really want pizza. It's like, Jesus, Sam.
Luckily, Dean's not overly
doesn't care. He just also doesn't care because Dean has something else on his mind. He's like, I got us a case, and he just throws down the thing. It's just an article about how this guy died on this table.
Yes.
So Sam's like, what?
How is this a case?
And he's like, well, I kind of just want to go to this town because
an old
8 years ago I fucked real good there.
Yes.
It's basically Dean's motivation.
He says he hooked up with
she was
this
a
girl.
yoga teacher.
Yeah, he called her Gumby Girl.
Yeah, and then he said, does that make me Pokey? Which then is does Dean think that Gumby and Pokey fuck each other?
I mean, why do you think he call her Pokey? Why do you think he calls him Pokey?
Oh no. I've been misreading Gumby this whole time.
Yeah, so he is referring to the title character and his trusty sidekick from the 1950s/1960s TV claymation show, The Gumby Show from 1956. Despite Sam's feelings, he agrees to take the drive out there. Dean drops Sam off at the local motel in the area and drives off to a small upclass neighborhood called Morning Hill.
I gotta say, Dean is about to realize that time has passed. Specifically, 8 to 9 years has passed. And it's funny to me that, he's like, I'm just gonna show up and be like, remember how we fucked a bit 9 years ago? And she'll be
You're available,
and
right?
She'll be like, yeah, let's do it now. Even for Dean, this is a real stretch in terms of
she's a yoga teacher. So.
His usual planning and shit like that. You know what I mean? Wouldn't it just be easier for Dean to hook up with a new, different yoga teacher?
Yeah, it doesn't fully add up.
It's a little, narratively, it's a bit of a stretch. It's not a character stretch for Dean not to think this through, but it is kind of it's 9 years, but we're not talking about
she
this
must have
happened
been
a year
great.
ago and then
maybe she was just that good.
Maybe they've just been thinking about each other.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true because we get a little bit of that.
Definitely. There is also a funny moment where Dean's so excited to go there that he's driving off while Sam's trying to get his stuff out of the car.
Yeah.
Also,
it's also the middle of the day. Even if she was down, she probably has a job.
Yeah. I mean, it might be a Saturday. We don't know.
That's true, I guess. Yeah, it's 11 on a Saturday. Let's bone down.
Yeah. Also, like, she had that same house 8 years ago.
Or did he look her up? Because he's like looking at a piece of paper. There's no way he kept a piece of paper with her address on it. Like maybe he looked her up when he got to town in a phone book or something. But there's a few steps missing. They're not important to the story. It wouldn't make sense to show them. But there is a couple of like, how did this happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as he drives into this small community, he drives past a for sale sign in front of a house, but then immediately after there's like a community sign, sort of like you're entering this, like these houses are for sale.
Yes.
And it says sold out on it, presuming that all of the houses are for sale. So that all the houses have been sold. So that for sale sign is either just like old or.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird that it just like is that one and then this.
Yeah, you're right. I do like how you could very clearly, we can very clearly tell that they're Canada Post mailboxes too.
Yes.
I like clocked it. I was looking right at it. I was like, oh yeah.
That's a Canada Post.
I mean, if you're into the States, you wouldn't.
It wouldn't
notice. It wouldn't register it.
Yeah, you must have mailboxes out there.
Yeah. Right.
It's not rounded and blue, so there's no way it could be a mailbox. So Dean shows up at Lisa's doorstep, and she's completely surprised to see him, obviously.
Of course. There's also like balloons and shit everywhere.
Yeah, she's an awkward long moment of silence occurs before she tells him that he came at a bad time because they're having a party, and he's just like, I fucking love parties. Let's party, baby. Like,
this is a moment too where it's like, I'm definitely not a Dean, because if I was like,
this is not the right time.
We haven't hooked up in 9 years. I'm in town. I'm gonna find her.
Yeah.
We're gonna fuck. And then if I showed up at the door and there was any like little mote of resistance, I'd be like, I'm sorry, I've made a huge mistake, and I'd turn around and leave. Like, Dean is just standing there like a fucking doofus, being like, yeah, I love parties. And then we cut to like, it's a kid's birthday party,
So
obviously.
funny.
There's like a bounce house, there's cake.
So funny.
There's all this shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but Dean, so he's then inside it, and Lisa tells him it's a party for her son, Ben, who's turning 8 years old.
And Dean looks over at this kid, and he's wearing like a black t-shirt and a Dean jacket. His cake has like nice muscle cars on it and shit, and he's saying stuff like sweet, cool. Like he's like
AC/DC, nice.
He's like doing like the rock hands. He's like such a Dean, and Dean's like, how old is he? And she's like 8, and he's like, oh.
It's
Dean, unsure of whether or not he's the father of this kid, is some great Dean. A very, very, very funny Dean moment, I would say.
I have a little thing that I want to do.
Oh, okay.
Because of one of our fantastic Instagram.
Oh my God, is this happening?
Yeah. So one of our incredible Instagram followers recommended that we do some reenactment of a scene, and I thought this scene was incredible.
Okay.
So if you want to go onto our drive.
All right. Oh my God, this is happening.
So this is a new segment I'd like to call Supernatural Theater.
Okay, is this the untitled thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Supernatural Theater, oh God.
So I'd love to play through the scene. You can be Ben.
Sure.
And I'll be Dean.
All right.
And because this scene is fucking hilarious.
And are you?
I'll do all of the like.
You'll do the directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're at the birthday party. Dean, one of the mother of Katie shows up.
Yeah.
And so, what the fuck's her name?
Lisa,
yeah. She's like, oh, I got to go deal with this. Could you go just hang out here? And so Dean sits next to Ben on like a bench or something.
They're eating cake or something.
Yeah, they're eating cake together.
Okay. What's up?
What's up with you? A woman and a little girl walk by, and in unison, Dean checks out the mom, and Ben checks out the little girl. They then each take a bite of cake. So it's your birthday.
Guilty.
It's a cool party.
Dude, it's so freaking sweet, and this moon bounce, it's epic.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
You know who else thinks they're awesome? Chicks. It's like Hot Chick City out there.
Ben smacks Dean on the chest, bro to bro. Dean watched bemusedly as Ben sets down his cake and follows a girl into the moon bounce.
Look out, ladies. Here comes trouble.
Dean watches him, rolls his eyes in his head as he does a mental arithmetic, then darts inside the house, knocking things over as he goes.
that bit of them checking out the mom and the
So
kid,
fucked
and
up.
then going, you know who else thinks moon bounces are awesome? Chicks. It's Hot Chick City in there.
So fucked up.
He's 8.
But and here's the thing, because at first I'm like, this is so unbelievable.
I love that the show, this episode,
Yes.
we won't keep you hanging if you have, but Dean is not the father.
No, it doesn't. Dean very quickly.
But this show is also very deliberately trying to make you think that Dean's horrible personality is genetic.
Yeah, which that's not how children work.
Like Ben just grew the jacket out of him. He was just like...
That's not how that works. I also 100% believe that kid would be like this, because that's such like a dorky kid way to act.
Yeah, I kind of love it.
Like when Dean was a kid, that is a cool guy way to act. But around when this show, like in the early 2000s, a kid who was like a dork is the one who's like fucking AC/DC. I love it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like that's not what the cool kids that age actually.
It's true.
Act like.
He's a little dork, and we even see that in the episode.
Oh yeah, totally. He's 100%.
Oh god, that's perfect though. I love that we did that. I will say, so at this party, Dean shows up. Lisa goes inside with the other mom, the mom whose ex-husband was horrifically table saw murdered.
Jeez, yeah.
And then these two random women, well, the one is like a realtor and the other is just a random woman.
Yes.
Are sitting there and they're like, did you hear her call him Dean? You know about Dean? Like, best night of her life, Dean? Which means
Big Dick Dean.
Which means like for 9 years, enough that her friends have it ready that anyone named Dean, they're like, Dean? Like she has talked about Dean at this night with Dean and whatever.
Yeah, the Dean, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He really put the D in Lisa.
Delisa?
No, he just put the D in Lisa. That's all.
Well, I don't know.
He had sex with her.
Oh, okay, I get it now. Yeah, it's an insane moment.
That's a bad way to phrase it. They had sex.
Yeah, there we go. That's good. I'm glad that's.
Ugh. I didn't like that.
He made sex to her.
He did sex on or around her.
So when it came to Dean and Ben, Kripke admitted that the mirroring they do was actually not originally in the script. That was on the direction of Phil Screecha.
Okay.
He determined
like the two of them like turning and looking and stuff.
like all of their sort of like mimicry and stuff.
Oh, that's fun.
He determined that Dean and Ben look down at the same time when Lisa scolds them, and then both should eat their cake the same way and leer at the mom and the daughter passing by together. Oh, so such a sweet moment. It was.
I mean, it's scumbaggy, but it's also very cute.
Yes,
because even though Dean is not the father, we do get this like really. Dean even talks about it later. We get this moment of like, it's the like, could Dean have maybe had a life?
Yeah,
if he wasn't a hunter, where he stuck around, where maybe he did have this house and he had a cool kid and stuff. Like, it's real heartbreak, especially because he's got like a less than a year to live and all this kind of shit. You know,
it's a perfect moment to do something like that.
Yeah, it really is.
So back inside the house, Lisa is talking to Dana Keel. She tells Lisa that she's got a very bad feeling that Katie isn't Katie, that the girl sitting in the next room is not her daughter. Lisa dismisses her theory and tells her that she's been through a lot and that she's going to get her some help. Dean approaches Lisa and comes right out and asks her if Ben is his son. Due to the high resemblance and him turning 8, Lisa reassures him that he's not the father.
Yes.
There is a lot of like theories online, and I'm like, no, it's not. That's not the way kids work. Like, but a lot of people online are like, no, I'm like, she would have told him by then. Like,
yeah.
Sorry,
what is one of the theories?
The theories is that like,
that's just so that she's lying again?
Well, because she says she did a DNA test, but the only way that
she's just saying that so that Dean will not think anything of it.
And the only other option, because she doesn't actually say, like, I know who the father is. She just says, I did a DNA test, but it's like, we didn't have his DNA. So either you know who the father is and he's just not around and you just don't mention him, or
she did a DNA test with someone else that she did have access to, and that was a match.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Either she did it and knows for sure who the father is and he's just not around.
Right.
Or she just didn't do it and is lying.
Right. I mean, I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
Oh, I
but
know.
That couldn't hold water. There's no way.
There's a lot of people who still believe it online, though. Sam is
Wake up, sheeple.
Also, buy our vitamins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, only vitamin
Ghost
D.
chasers.
Yeah.
Take them down.
Oh my God, that's good. Vitamin Dean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody needs a little Dean. Sam is sitting in the local diner when Ruby walks in and joins him at the table. The demon. I still don't. Yeah.
Yeah, we learned this episode that she's a demon. Not in this scene, but later.
Sam immediately asks her about the knife she had. She doesn't reveal much except that it sure does come in handy when you're tracking down demons.
Yeah, she starts talking about how Yellow Eyes had plans for Sam and all this stuff. She mentioned something about like all of Sam's mom's friends. And then she's like, and he's like, what? And she's like, oh, you don't know? Maybe you go do a little research and then you give me a call.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk because you're not up to speed right now.
Oh, God. Not at all. Ruby also says, they're talking about sort of she makes an offhand comment that he's the Antichrist or something. And she says, the generation of psychic kids, yellow-eyed demon rounds you up, celebrity deathmatch ensues, you're a sole survivor to celebrity deathmatch, in case people don't know, was did you watch that show?
No.
So Celebrity Deathmatch was
the sort of like, it was animated like the Brisk commercials,
it's
right?
claymation.
Yeah.
It was claymation series. So now this is the second claymation reference in this episode.
Oh, weird.
In which
we just got to squeeze a Neverhood reference in there. And then
they had they basically had it was claymation of like actual like living celebrities that they would just pretend to be and then have them fight each other, and the two would be like Paris Hilton versus like Seth Green.
Yeah, I remember it being on. I just never.
It was brutally violent and gory. Yeah, and the celebrities were not usually into it.
Crazy.
Yeah, but it existed. And then when Sam reminds Ruby that the yellow-eyed demon is gone, she says, oh, yeah, that's right. Ding dong, the demon's dead. She's referring to the Wizard of Oz. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Yes, thank you.
So she thinks there's still a plan for Sam, especially after what happened to his mom's friends. And so, basically she walks away. When Ruby meets Sam at the diner, she does also say that the whole Anthony Michael Hall ESP thing, which is a reference to The Dead Zone, a TV show spun off from a Stephen King novel. So after she walks out of the diner, Dean calls Sam and informs him that there is a job in town. Apparently, there were 4 accidents prior to Katie's dad's death that went unreported.
Yeah. Well, and Ruby also, right as she's leaving, she says the same thing.
Yeah. She's like, this is a job, by the way.
She's like, there's a job here too, right? And then Dean immediately calls and goes, so there's a job here? And Sam's like,
she has ESP too.
Oh my God.
There's something going on in this community that residents can't escape. Dana wakes up from a nap on the couch now.
Oh, this is where we started to get into creepy kid shit.
So we go to Katie's mom, Dana, who's napping. You do pass also. You see an open book. She was reading a book and fell asleep. The book she's reading is called The Historian by Elizabeth Kosova, a novel that riffs on the story of Dracula. So a fun play when you find out what the monster is.
Yeah, exactly.
And when she wakes up, she sees her daughter just standing over her.
Yeah.
It's just like, hello, mommy.
Yeah. You were asleep.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm hungry. I don't know why mine is turning into...
I'm hungry.
And I'm reaping all the benefits.
He's losing his mind. Hello. So Katie gives Dana a hug and notices that in the mirror, Katie's skin seems to be old, wrinkly, and gray in her reflection.
She's got like a lamprey mouth.
Yes.
Like
do they show the mouth in that scene or just the skin?
In the reflection?
Yeah, I thought it was just...
Oh no, you're right.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
just-
reflection later.
Yeah. This
You're
is
right.
just the
Sorry.
skin.
Yeah, it looks real gross. Yeah.
The reflections of the changelings in this story appear to be heavily inspired by a creature from the Star Trek, the original series from 1966, episode Star Trek, the original series, The Man Trap from 1966 as well. Season 1, episode 1. The big difference is the creature in Star Trek fed on salt, whereas the changelings on this episode feed on bodily fluids.
Interesting.
So Sam visits one of the previous victims' houses and to try to dig up some clues about the death. He's sort of pretending to be like an insurance person who's like, "Oh, your husband died."
I just got to double check one more thing, and all
Yeah.
he does is go around the back and go, "That's where he fell." I think I'm done here.
Yeah, you know the ladder's still up.
Yeah, is it like an active crime scene? They just think it's
So
an
there's no
accident.
caution tape. Like
But also, it's
it's like when
it's also not a crime scene. They think it's an accident.
it's when they like when a kid goes missing or something, and they're like, we never changed his bedroom. It's
We
like,
always leave the ladder there.
yeah, it's he died the way he lived on a ladder.
But as Sam's looking, there's this kid just kind of creepily staring at him through the window.
Yeah, and there's some
And he sees this red mark on the windowsill
looks like it's
and on the
blood.
fence, and yeah, he thinks it's blood, and he goes, "All right, I think I got everything I need here." And he,
thanks, Mr. Simpson.
yeah, leaves this grieving widow.
Yeah. A very sort of like non-casual exit for Sam there.
Yeah, he's really not smooth in this episode.
No. So later, Dana gives Katie her food and heads up to the bathroom. So she's basically like she's feeling like she's Katie's like giving her daughter some food, and she like is feeling the back of her neck.
Oh
and
yeah, because as Sam is leaving,
Yeah.
he notices on the back of that
Yes.
mom's neck that there's this weird. It's like a circle and then a bunch of small kind of
Dots.
puncture
Yeah,
marks
yeah,
around
yeah.
it.
And then we go to Katie, who's then like feeling so, like her hair's down, but she's like feeling the back of her neck.
Yeah, Katie's mom is. Yeah, she's
So,
making a very burnt grilled cheese sandwich.
Well, the one side was okay. She's just the other side was not good.
I mean, she's distracted.
yes.
Yeah,
It's still eatable.
I don't know. I'd probably tell her to do it again.
Wow, and that's coming from you.
Could you imagine if that's what what Katie did?
Mother, I'm hungry, but not that hungry. So she decides she's going to go to the bathroom to check out what's going on with her neck. So she goes inside, she locks herself in, but Katie then comes up and starts banging on the door repeatedly, yelling,
Immediately, like, "What are you doing in there?
"Let me in!"
Let me in! What are you doing?"
It's
in
like
there?"
kind of, it's super creepy and unnerving.
It's like the most. Yeah, it's like the most separation anxiety kind
Yes.
of freak out.
yeah. The meal's gone. You get it.
Yeah. Don't you dare take my tray of meatballs.
Yeah. If anybody's going to be bringing food in the bathroom, it's going to be you.
Nothing.
Data, getting increasingly more panicked, tells her daughter to hang on. And just as she's trying to, she's looking and seeing the mark on the back of her neck, the doorbell rings.
Yeah, and then the banging immediately stops.
Katie goes down to answer it.
Yeah, and by the time Dana comes out and gets down there, it's like the realtor, and she's handing like a basket of muffins. Katie takes that over to the kitchen, and the realtor's like, "So you planning on selling? And
Your
you
husband
keeping the
died,
house?" And
yeah.
she's like, "What?" Like, and she's like, "Yeah, because we here at Cicero."
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. We only want whole families here.
Like, Jesus. And yeah, Dana very rationally is like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
Closes the door, locks it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Dean is paying a visit to the neighborhood park where he finds Ben sitting on a bench by himself, sad.
Yeah. There's a bunch of bullies that have taken this like video game.
Yes.
And these bullies got like strong Dudley
Yes.
Dursley
100%.
energy.
100%.
Big fat mean kid.
Yeah. And Dean's like, well, why don't you go get it back? He's like, no. He's like, all right, I'll get it back. And he's like, do not do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, like, defend yourself. Like,
Yeah.
go.
Dean kind of like whispers something to him. Doesn't
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like, why
yeah.
don't you?
Yeah. So then, because, I forgot this line. Because Dean says, Dean says, I'll go get it. And Ben goes, only bitches send a grown up over, and I'm not a bitch.
And Dean again is like, he's definitely my kid.
You know how you like?
I love how like everything from vocabulary and that they're like, oh, that's genetic.
Yeah. You know how you absorb
How
all
you
your
talk
dad's
and
language?
what you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, because your father spoke French, you were born.
You don't
knowing
even have to
French.
work at it.
No,
Yeah.
no, yeah. I could not believe that.
So funny.
Also, God, this is a word like if for some reason like coming out of that kid's mouth and saying something being
I mean, is it okay? Is it more scumbaggy coming out of like an 8-year-old?
I think it
where
might
he's
be.
Like, it's hot chick city
yeah,
in there.
it feels worse coming out of a kid.
Because I also think, even though Dean he's busy with is this kid my kid? I think even Dean is like, oh Jesus, kid. Like I think even Dean is kind of like, all right, let's tone it down a little. Like,
Dean talks.
They're people.
Yeah. Dean talks that way, but I feel like deep down he like understands the value of women and things like that. But this kid just feels like someone taught him that, and he's just like, yeah, you know, women are worthless.
Yeah, get in my fucking moon bounce. Let's ride.
I'm gonna moon bounce you all the way to fucking next city. It's just like, whoa.
We're gonna hold hands all over this fucking thing. I'm gonna hold your hands so hard.
I'm gonna fucking butterfly your fucking face up.
Jesus Christ.
Let's crisscross applesauce and see where this night goes.
Good Lord. But yeah, so then Ben goes over to this group of bullies that are just standing in a park
surrounding
playing
over
a video game. It's like, steal the video game and leave. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, don't hang around.
So anyway,
So
he's like, can I have my game back now? And the kid's like, why don't you take it, dweebus, or whatever the fuck he says.
Yeah, take it like your mom did.
Jesus.
And he's just
that goddamn moon bounce.
Yeah.
All the kids in this town are scumbags.
Yeah. It's like super idyllic, like
it's a really nice white picket fence town.
Yeah.
And all of the kids are misogynists.
Yeah. Also, they're just like 1940s, like New York, like hooligans. Like, yeah, why don't you take your mother?
And so Ben is kind of looking a little scared, a little sad. It looks like he turns to walk away. He just immediately turns back and he knees this kid in the nuts like 3 times.
Yeah. Spits on him.
Yeah. Yeah. Say hi to your mother for me.
Yeah. Eat the dirt. But no, he gets his game back, and just as Dean's like, nice, Lisa shows up and was just like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
she's like, since when do we hit? And then Dean's like, did you tell him to beat up that kid? And he's like, oh.
He's got to learn how to defend himself. Every kid needs to learn how to.
It's this
like,
thing. She is right.
bully.
She's like.
We
you
do
have
not.
nothing to do with my family or my kid. Like, you don't get to do that shit. Get the fuck out of here.
She has the right response.
She is right.
Yeah.
But Dean is very clearly like, but what if he was my kid and I gotta tell him not to be a bitch?
And he acts like me, so he must be.
Yeah. He likes chicks.
I like chicks. How rare is that? He must be my kid. So she leaves with Ben, but just as she's walking away, Ben like tears away from her, runs back to her and hugs Dean and is just like, thanks.
Yeah.
And Dean's just like, hell yeah. I am your dad.
Yeah. Come with me, kid.
Yeah.
They run away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit.
You snooze, you lose.
Henriksen has to add like abduction to like his list of things that he's tracking the Winchesters.
Look, of all the
for.
things, that's the one real thing he did. Yeah.
It's like that one was me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, oops. Really thought the kid was mine.
Oh, come on. Everybody gets one.
Yeah. So a kid or the crime?
One crime.
Oh, okay.
Everyone gets one crime.
Okay, I was like, everybody gets one kid, right?
Yeah.
You find one, it's yours. That's the rules.
Oh no.
Oh no. I thought you had your daughter. So back at Dana's house, she and Katie get into the car to go for ice cream.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
Boy. So
is this
yes,
in the rearview mirror,
that's
then we
what she
see like
sees.
the lamprey mouth kind of
Yes.
thing, which is fucked
like
up.
the fucking weird circle teeth and
Yeah.
And
Pretty
she-
crazy. looking gross monster.
Yeah, she knows at this point it's a monster and not her daughter. Well, she's like 90% sure.
I mean, she could also be great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing this episode does play pretty well.
Yeah.
Is the like
maybe she's just like
I think she also is not sure, but she's just like,
what am I gonna do?
I gotta trust my gut on this.
You're crazy for this one, Dana. So Dana drives the car to a nearby lake, gets out, and lets the car sink to the bottom.
And the kid just like looks at her like through the back windscreen, doesn't scream, doesn't fight or anything, and the car just goes into the lake. And it's fucked up. And like Dana is like, great. And then the car is gone. And then she is like, did I just kill my kid?
Oh, yeah. Fairly.
Like, and this is the thing that I mean, that the episode plays it really well, where she's like, it's a monster, I killed the monster, and then she's like, did I? Or am I crazy?
Because the monster didn't fight back.
And I just, like, am I crazy and I just killed my kid?
Yeah. It's like it's a rough moment.
It's
like,
a really dark moment in an episode that has otherwise been very funny.
So let me read you a quote from Eric Kripke.
Sure, yeah.
So Eric stated that several episodes of Supernatural originated from a single scene. The idea that they wanted to do in this scene specifically was around this exact scene. The rest is kind of just shaped around this moment.
So they were like, we want this moment.
God, we want to drown a kid so bad.
The mom drowns the kid because she thinks the kid's a monster, and then she questions it.
Yeah, monster, sure, whatever. We just really want to drown a kid.
In the show.
Sure, yeah, why not? We can start there.
Yeah, I mean, you could roll camera if you want.
Yeah. So the scene in this episode, it was the moment when we see the mother drown the changeling daughter, only to find, which is about to just happen, that the daughter is alive back at home.
Yeah, pretty fucked up.
He was surprised that the network even allowed that to be aired. It's a dark and graphic moment.
It is. It's really disturbing. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, it's the CW. We've got the Pussycat Dolls, America's Next Top Model, and a mom drowning her kid. That's why we love being Supernatural.
That's amazing.
I love that. It's a great moment. So the mom ends up back at the house and finds that she's like crying and sobbing at the front door. She slowly walks through this dark house as she's like figuring out like she's completely gone insane and killed her daughter, and then she sees the dripping wet floor in the kitchen, and the daughter
it's just like, hi mommy,
the arms just sort of like placed along its side, dripping wet water, and your daughter just smiles at her. It's so fucking creepy,
so fucked up.
The one from the preview,
oh, I hate it.
Yeah, it's so disturbing. That smile on that kid is just like blood curdling.
Yeah, I mean, they found a truly creepy child for this.
100%. Back at Dana's, so after Dana's house, we then go to Dean, who returns to the motel, telling Sam that there's something wrong with the kids.
Yeah,
in this town.
And Sam has been looking up changelings, and we finally get our lore dump. We're talking about these changelings. They're swapping. They go in, they kidnap the kid, they take the kid's place, and they feed off the mom. They can feed off the mom like spinal fluid or something, whatever it is, for like a couple of weeks before the mom dies. But the reason that all these other deaths are happening is because they're like, anyone gets in the way, dad, babysitter, anything like that, they're out. Which is also why these kids are acting so clingy and all this kind of shit like that. So they've established that like it's changelings, we got to kill them with fire, which sort of ties to like the oven thing and shit like that. And then also that the real kids may still be alive somewhere, but they don't know where.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Sam states that the changelings feed off of synovial fluid from the mothers, and that they always feed on the back and the neck. Synovial fluid is a type of fluid only found in spaces between joints. It acts as a form of shock absorption. It helps lubricate and also helps remove waste from joint space. All humans have synovial fluid, not just women, and there is very little in the cervical vertebrae. So the majority of synovial fluid is found in the larger joints, such as elbows and knees. So there might be other reasons as to why these creatures only feed on the mothers and only on the back of the neck. If the writers didn't really understand bodily fluids, they may have been actually thinking of the cerebrospinal fluid when they said synovial. CSF surrounds the brain and spinal cord, It can be removed by piercing the skull or the spinal column.
See, I think I'm inclined to believe that that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
The cerebrospinal
Yes,
one. Yeah.
exactly. Since the body only makes about 500 cc's of CSF a day, tapping it could easily kill the subject, so you have to do it over a long period of time.
I'm willing to believe that's what they meant.
Yes. So that's my guess. I think there was just a confusion on what it actually was supposed to be.
Right.
So one of the other things was, so the changelings can easily mimic children, so they sneak into the house through the kid's window and snatch the kid and always leave a blood stain near the windowsill. And they then take the kid's form and feed off the mothers, which causes the mothers to have a red scar on the back of their necks. Usually the changelings will feed off the mother for about 3 weeks before she ends up dying. The changeling take the real kids and stash them somewhere underground, which means that they could still all be alive. The only way to kill a changeling is by torching them. Dean wastes no time at all and makes a stop back at Lisa's house and basically is like, hey, I never gave a present to Ben for his birthday.
Here's a credit card with someone else's name on it.
And she's like, what the fuck, Dean? Like, God, your dick was not that good.
Yeah, and then as she's being like, you gotta leave,
Ben shows
is
up
in the back and goes like, make him go away, mommy. And Dean is like, fuck, they got Ben.
Yeah. So now it's personal. Dean, so he discovers that that Ben has become a changeling when he notices the red stains on the windowsill. Ben tells his mom to go away and to
make Dean go away.
Yeah, and Lisa just says, like, you heard him, and closes the door. In the car, Dean informs Sam of his find and states that the stains aren't blood, but that he knows where they'll probably find the missing children.
Yeah, and they go back to this. There's like a house being built that we've passed once or twice in the episode already.
And there's red sand.
And there's dirt or sand outside, and that's what it was. Also, I mean, again, I know it's for the episode, but like, Sam's usually better than that. Like, Sam's like, oh, it wasn't blood?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Come on, man.
Not a strong Sam
His
episode.
head's not in the game.
No, it's because he's
and
just...
maybe you can excuse that character-wise, but like, because he's trying to figure out how to get Dean out of the demon deal. But like, Sam doesn't do much in this episode, and most of what he does, he's doing it poorly.
There's a scene actually where he's like looking up like changeling information, and he's got multiple screens open.
Yeah,
they're all the same like information. They all are basically all from Wikipedia too.
I do love the look of websites in
back
this
then
era of the show.
Yeah, that like your GeoCity sites and your Angel Fire.
It does feel very much like they're all GeoCities page. Like he's finding all these pages of just like, this is what a changeling is. I read a book about Celtic lore.
Yeah. Live changelings all night.
Yeah. Yeah, this changeling won't last 40 seconds.
Under fire. So they enter the basement of one of the houses under construction, and they find all of the kids.
Local changelings swapping kids near you.
Oh, no.
Pop-up ads on lore pages.
Yeah. Step changeling.
Oh, I'm stuck in the oven, step changeling.
You're not my real kid, step changeling.
Oh, no. Nope. Sound the alarm. Nope.
But it's okay. It's not your real kid.
It's still a kid.
It's a changeling. It's
Jesus. Oh, my God. God, that everything else in history was fine. Quote is looking a lot better now. Good Lord.
This included.
Oh, my God.
So they find all the kids trapped in cages. However, they also encounter the mother changeling taking the form of the neighborhood realtor.
Yeah, and the realtor
who wanted to really fuck Dean at the beginning of this. So I'm wondering at what point.
But the realtor is also in a cage. So I don't know if it was like, was it the changeling that was like, I should fuck Dean? Or is it like,
I know that's...
Yeah, or did it take her spot?
I'm so curious.
That's a good point, actually.
Like, at what point?
Because that changeling, if she was a changeling the whole time, she did a way better job blending in than those kids do.
Yeah, because my guess would be that the mother comes in first, and then you get the other changelings.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that first changeling kid would have, like, she would already have changed at that point. My guess. So
Oh, that's interesting.
So that realtor changeling just wanted to fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah. Right in the sharp mouth hole.
Oh, ow. Boy. Not good. So they end up having a pretty big fight with this realtor. But Ben,
I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds like the worst episode of Supernatural ever. They have a pretty big fight with a realtor.
Look, I want the fence included.
It's a decent actual fight though. Actually.
Look, you got to put a new roof on this. All right, there's no way that I'm going to go through with this. It's a pretty big fight with that realtor.
Yeah. I actually need to move the close date.
You think you're going to get 10% on the fucking on the sale of the house as well as the other side of it? I don't think so.
Yeah, and they eventually settle it all. They sign.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean now own property.
Yeah. What a big fight.
No, it's a pretty decent fight actually.
It is,
pretty like brutal, but also at the same time like I feel like the fight has a couple of like shots where the same shot is shown like 3 times in a row.
Interesting.
Where like she punches Dean and he turns, and then she punches Dean the same way with the same hand. He turns again.
Oh, weird.
Which it almost implies that Dean is doing 360s and she keeps punching him when he comes around.
Whoa, whoa.
There's a couple of weird little edit things in
Yeah.
there, but otherwise it's a good fight. And while that's happening, Dean is already broken open the cages, but Dean is like, Ben, get them out of here. And Ben is like, come on. Like he's being like a real Dean.
He is. He's totally being a Dean.
The Dean Ben thing in this episode is so fucking good.
It's pretty good. So Ben and Dean managed to get all the kids out of the house.
While this is happening, Lisa is like trying to get away from Changeling Ben.
Yes.
She goes outside. There's just other kids in her yard. And she's
Don't
like,
you
"Oh,
want to
shit."
play?
And yeah, Ben is like, they want you to stay with me or some shit, like very creepy. So she's running around trying to hide in the house, in the bathroom, I think, as well. Data's hiding in her bathroom and Katie's trying to get in. And when Sam and Dean finally torch the mother changeling, all the other changelings go up.
Yes. They all just like dissipate into thin air, which I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's actual.
I guess we
lore.
skipped the bit where Lisa also discovers that Ben is a changeling, but she's she sees a reflection.
That was enough for her, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the other mother like really had to go through a thing to figure it out, and she was just like, did he look weird? Fuck it, he's dead. Let's get rid of him. Dean returns Ben to Lisa, who is overjoyed that he's okay. Dean explains to her about the changeling, which she finds pretty hard to believe. It's like, even though you were pretty convinced of it before.
I got a little question here, because normally Sam and Dean, they save the day, they leave town. This time, some of the parents have not figured out that their kids are changelings.
Oh, yeah.
How did those kids get home? Did Sam and Dean drop them off? And if so, did the parents say, like, why do you have my kid? My kid was in their bedroom. Or like,
yeah. Interesting.
For parents that weren't still awake with their kids during this thing.
Yeah.
I had a little question. I almost expected to see other kids in the back of the car when they dropped Ben off.
Or they were just like, look, we're responsible for this kid. You guys find your way home.
Yeah, what are we, a taxi?
Yeah. It's not a fucking school bus. Get yourself home.
I think we did the heavy lifting of killing the changeling here.
Yeah. You can walk a few feet. It's all the same neighborhood.
Fucking lazy millennial.
Yeah, why don't you go eat ass? Get out of here.
Yeah, you Gen Z or whatever they are.
Oh, yeah. With those wouldn't be.
They'd be Gen Z, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you go make a TikTok? This is 2007, sir.
It'll make sense in 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah, your future self will love it. Mr. TikTok, I think I found your new sound.
You know those short viral videos you were looking for?
Yeah. Well, take a look at this.
Well, TikTok to this.
Yeah.
It's your cousin, Marvin TikTok.
Marvin Talk. Rick Talk.
Rick Talk. Fuck, that's the one.
I just watched the Movies That Made Us episode of Back to the Future
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah, it was really good.
That's funny.
So again, one last time, Dean asks, "Are you sure that he's not mine? Because he fucking fought like me."
Yeah, and
She goes, "Again, that's
like,
not the way DNA works."
it's not. And then she goes, you kind of look disappointed. And Dean has this moment where he's like, yeah, I guess I am, because I think I'm dying.
He also wanted us to go
also-
back to Kansas like a salmon. I think it's in the DNA. Kept wanting to drive up the road upstream to get back to Kansas.
If you really want to follow that metaphor, that would mean that Dean only fucks in Lawrence, Kansas. It means every date Dean goes on becomes a road trip.
Oh, no. You're looking pretty good tonight. How do you feel about an 8-hour drive?
To my childhood bedroom.
Yeah. How else am I going to fuck?
Ugh. Man, salmon are weird, am I right?
Yeah, very weird.
Use this for stand-up comedy.
I mean, it's not bad. So she again says that she had a blood test done and when Ben was a baby, and he's off the hook. Dean looks pretty disappointed, mentioning that he's got a year left to live and what's he going to leave behind. And Lisa very sweetly says, hey, you might not be his actual father, but he'd be lucky to have a dad like you, and you did pretty good with him, and he was very much just yeah, if I did have a kid, I'd be very happy for it to be him. It's a very good moment. I like that a lot. He realizes that as much as Ben is a phenomenal kid, this is not his life though. And he's willing to accept that, because she's even hey, why don't you stick around for a bit? I know I know monsters exist now, and I'm gonna have to reckon with that. But do you want to?
And my kid's in the other room, but you want to rail me out?
And he's I don't want your life.
Yeah, Dean exhibited good restraint here.
A surprising amount of
Considering that last episode he was like, I fucked twins!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes. So it's okay. They were stepsisters, step twins. They were different twins.
They were
twins.
They were each twins, but not of each other.
But surprisingly, we're also related because the family's married.
You found the way to finally make it not problematic. Yeah.
So he walks out to the door.
Yes.
We then show Sam has called Ruby over and tells her that he found out all of Mary's friends.
Yeah, there's a little
family.
montage of Sam making calls. Jared's not really selling this one. This is a bad Sam episode, I gotta say.
It is.
He's making calls and goes, no, I need to know how they
I want the president on the phone.
It's he's proposing as these different people. He's but they died? And then he looks at the screen and he's they're all dead? And then
It's so bad.
Smash cut to him talking to Ruby. He goes, they're all dead? And she goes, yes. Jesus.
When Sam is finding out about Mary's friends, he asks about a Robert Campbell who died on the 19th of July, 2001. Surprisingly, also, Jared Padalecki's birthday is July 19th.
Hey, there you go.
Not 2001. He's 7 years old here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we're all dead.
Yeah, Ruby's it's about you, buddy. Whoever, Yellow Eyes was covering his tracks with you. Anyone that knew you, anyone near you, anyone near your family, he went for them.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of why I'm interested in you, because I think this isn't done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sam finally demands this is the one moment that he does do some good acting.
Sure.
Sam finally demands that she tells him who she is.
Because she mentioned that she's a good hunter and stuff like that. She does the demon eye thing.
But his who are you moment is actually a pretty decent acting moment.
It's decent, yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, but where was that?
I know.
They're dead too?
Yeah. Not great. However, after Sam begins to lose his temper,
I'm the police chief.
Yeah, she finally reveals her demonic eyes. Sam, now realizing that she is one of the demons that was let out of the devil's gate, he reaches in his bag for the holy water. Ruby insists that that he shouldn't be so quick to pull a gun on her. Says that she's there to help him.
Yeah.
She doesn't know.
She says not all demons want the same thing.
Yes, exactly.
Which is sort of its own little kind of scary thing to think about. But this bit is pretty good. Although I will say it would look too silly the other way. But Sam holds up this flask of holy water like it's a gun to her head. But it's that's not how Just hold it. You can splash. Like,
Yeah, I know.
Holding it out doesn't
Doesn't-
make it more splashable.
If anything, it makes it more challenging because now you have to pull it back to throw it.
Yeah, like the blocking of the like
Yeah.
I'll use it
Yes.
doesn't work. It's like
Ready? Hold on.
it would be too silly in a squirt gun, but that would almost be better.
That would be very funny if he's just like pulls a gun. He's like, that's not even a real gun. And he's like, oh yeah. Nothing comes out. He's like, hold on. Okay. Pumps it.
Oh man.
But
Otherwise, yes, I agree. That scene is pretty good. It's a little creepy, the idea that it's like, oh, like they stopped a demon's plan.
Yes.
but not like demon plans.
exactly. Like it's
That's-
way bigger than just this one demon had a plan.
Yeah. And even in the last episode, like the 7 deadly sins say
Yeah.
something like, well, now the yellow ice is gone, I guess we'll do whatever the fuck we want.
We're Legion. We fucking
So it's like, yeah, the idea of like a leaderless sort of horde of demons, each of whom have different motivations and desires, and that is more scary because it's so many more kind of fronts to fight on.
Yeah. Definitely. Ruby also tells him that if he allows her to help him, there's something in it for him.
Yes.
She can help him save Dean from his demonic deal.
Yeah.
That's the end of the episode.
There you go.
Wow.
So, what did you think?
I always liked this episode. This is one that I always remember. There's some really funny things. I mean, you start pulling on threads in this episode and you're going to get into some trouble.
I think that's the thing. When I realized it was this episode and I was like, oh, Lisa and Ben,
Yeah.
the Dean and Ben thing, I was like, I love this episode. And the more I watched it, then I was like, that stuff is good, but so much else is like, even just from the basic logic of like, it's been 9 years and Dean thinks he's going to roll up and fuck this person.
Yeah.
Like, they're, like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Like that shit to, Sam is really bad in this episode. Like Sam's got very little to do. B, what he's doing, he's not doing especially well.
Yeah.
It's
The comedy is good.
The comedy is good. Ruby is good.
Yeah.
Sam is doing something else.
Sam's not really there this episode.
The creepy kids thing is good, but then again, like
Really just that one kid is good.
But again, even just the logic of like it was the realtor the changeling the whole time.
Yeah.
Like even that piece, you start pulling at that thread and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like
Yeah.
there were already 4 deaths.
Yeah.
So it's unlikely that the changeling mother took someone new's
No.
form, which means that she is just making small talk and shit.
Yes.
Like, but then you're like, the realtor that shows up at the door with muffins, that must be the changeling because she's like almost like checking in. Like,
Yes.
you're still here. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, we're not done feeding you.
But then
like,
also,
feeding
why
on
is she
you.
trying to get them to leave?
So many questions.
Yeah.
And things that don't make a ton of sense to me, I would say.
Yeah. There's some plot
Unless
holes for sure.
we're supposed to believe that's the realtor and then she interrupted Katie and like trying to get at Dana so that Katie had her swapped.
It doesn't.
But
no.
again, any thread you pull out in this episode unravels the whole thing.
Yes.
There are some very fun bits, some fun set pieces and things like that, fun moments, good comedy, interesting monster, but they're very tenuously held together. Even if you pull the thread of like, are all of the male kids in this town a scumbag? You go like,
Yes.
You're like, he's not Dean's kid, but he's a Dean. Like he's identically Dean, even
Yes.
though no dad is like. It's not even like she
Yeah.
has a type, like she says she does.
Yes.
And then there's a stepdad that is
Ooh.
also kind of like a Dean,
Yeah.
and then you see like that's like it's fun and it's funny.
Yeah.
But if you try to actually think about it at all, it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah. So what are you giving this?
I think I'm giving it lower than I thought I was going
Yeah.
to. I think I'm giving this a 3.5 burnt grilled cheeses, which was also, I'm going to say it on record here, the greatest crime of this episode.
You hurt food.
Yeah.
Not hurt me.
Here's my new segment. It's like the thing that shook me most in this episode. The burnt grilled cheese, baby.
Yeah, it's Reed's spookiest moment.
Yeah. Reed's spookiest moment for season 3, episode 2. the burn on that grilled cheese.
Ooh, shook me to my core.
Ooh. Go back to the lamprey mouth stuff.
Yeah. I am going to give it slightly higher, but not much. 3.75 wonderfully drowned kids.
Oh, why? Oh, the adjective, or adverb, rather.
What? Kids?
Kids is not an adverb. Parts
Okay.
of speech, buddy.
Look, I pay you to do writing.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, wonderfully drowned changelings. There you
There
have
we
it.
go.
Who happen to be kids, unfortunately.
The only good changeling is a drowned changeling. Very incendiary changeling rhetoric.
What? You're going to call me a racist?
Yeah, I mean, overall, like a good, fun episode, but yeah, it does not hold up to scrutiny the way other Supernatural episodes do.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, before we leave, we've got a letter from a fellow hunter.
Hey!
Look at that. From Megan, who says, "Hey guys, this has definitely become my favorite podcast. I always listen to it when I'm driving to work. I love all the detailed work you put into the show. Anyways, I just listened to episode 19 from season 2, Folsom Prison Blues. And you guys said you were confused about why blood would tie a ghost to the place. I know Moody wasn't actually the ghost that was haunting the prison, but the blood would have still been able to tie Moody there. Ghosts are tied to the place, object, or their human remains. Bones are just the most common because they don't decay. If you remember episode 119, that's season 1, episode 19, Provenance, the little girl was tied to her doll. Because they used her own hair for the doll's hair,
That's true.
the hair is part of her human remains, same as the blood from Moody. Anyways, I can't wait to listen to more episodes. You guys always make me laugh."
Hey.
Thanks, Megan.
Good note.
Very, very good note. Yeah, I mean, that's why they call them human remains, because it's not human bones, it's the remains of the human. So
What? That's why they call them human remains. By the way, that's my least favorite Elton John song. And I guess that's why they call them human remains. Dude. Guess that's why they call it the blues, Elton John.
Why is it? Why? Where's the connection to human remains?
Just that you said, I guess that's why they call it human remains. And then I just had the song in my head. That's all.
I was like, where's the connection there to you can make the word change? But yeah, I said that word. So I said those words together. That's my fault.
Listen, I'm not going to say the jokes make sense. But it's my fault. That's how it came to me. And it is your fault. Yeah.
Well, that is it for this week. If you have a note about this episode, maybe a past or a future episode that we're going to talk about, you can say hello to us through our various social media platforms as well as our email.
Ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
But we are on all of the social media platforms, so why don't you reach out to us there?
That's right. Ghostfacerspod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And if you want even more content from us that I think will be relevant to your interest, we have a whole other podcast.
Yeah, check out the Dr. DC podcast. We talk about DC Comics. We answer listener questions. You don't need to know anything. We're just going in, talking about the lore and all that kind of stuff, behind the scenes stuff about stories and that. Same sort of stuff that you like over here. If you're interested in superheroes, you might like it over there. We got a special guest on this week's episode, so check that out too.
That's right, yeah. Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.